you just abandon any precaution. You know, folks, something could happen here, and if it does, so what?
Welcome to Nathan for Us, a Nathan Fielder fan podcast. My name is Kelly.
And hi, I'm Megan.
And today we are going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 4 of the Rehearsal. This one is called Kissme. And we actually have a whole bunch of other stuff to chat about as well. So we're going to start off the episode covering what happened in Kissme, and then at the end we are going to have a bit of a discussion about the recent Variety article that came out that had a contestant's experience with the Wings of Voice singing competition show that was featured.
Yeah, lots to talk about. We haven't had someone break their NDA yet, so I'm excited to chat through that. I know we've been begging people to break their NDA. We have not been as convincing, but we have had one of the singers from Wings of Voice come forward, so we can chat about her at the end.
Yeah, we kind of start off in a very different place from last week's episode. We open back on Wings of Voice. We have some jaunty country music playing, and we see our top 50 for the singing competition show. And they're doing Amazing Grace in different themed groups. So, what did we think about these groups? Did we have a favorite? You know, it's so hard to pick because all of these singers are incredibly talented, but who would you say was your favorite of these groups?
I think the country group was my favorite. I'm not the biggest
Oh.
country music fan, but I thought that it fit with the song the best, which is not the singer's fault. As far as Amazing Grace goes, I thought that the country group did a fantastic job. I like that they split them up. I love that we brought back the Wings of Voice contestants. I'm excited to hopefully crown a winner and see that performer perform in our replica airport. Thought it was great that some of these singers got a little bit of exposure. We went through all the groups. It was very fun.
Yeah, I was partial to the pop punk one. I thought that having techno was a really funny choice as well. Personally, for me, I feel like we were really missing an a cappella group. Call me what you want. I am a millennial, and yes, I do love the movie Pitch Perfect, and I think a cappella would have been really funny. Maybe we could have got like a Glee alumni to come out here and perform. But I would have loved to have seen that one as well.
Yeah, especially without using any copyright music, a cappella would have fit right in.
Yeah, and it's like just silly enough that I think it would have been perfect.
And we just want to quickly point out that the girl who was standing in the middle of the pop punk group, her name is Lana Love, and we are going to be chatting a little bit more about her later.
Yes, she will come into play when we chat that Variety article for sure. So Nathan explains to us that he doesn't really have any use for the Wings of Love show anymore, or sorry, Wings of Voice show anymore. However, he wants to see it through because he doesn't want to let these contestants down, which I think is very fair. This was a pretty large scale production, as we see. There's like 1,000 people who've come out. There's all of these people working on the behind the scenes of the show. So I think definitely the right move to continue to see this through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's super fun to continue it through. We get some great characters coming out this episode. The first, we have a fantastic host. His name is Brandon Delcid, who seemed to do a fantastic job in the brief moment that we saw him. It would be interesting to hear, has he been hosting this show from the beginning? He is an actor originally from Fresno. He will be seen next starring in Amazon Prime's This Is Me Now. So if you're interested in following on the host, you can find him on social media.
Yeah, hilarious. That is the musical with Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, who have now gotten divorced. So
lots of drama.
The host, I think we can agree, was really fantastic. I think it would have been amazing if we had Anthony Napoli back, but
oh my goodness, don't say that. Now it's in the universe.
For anyone who doesn't know, Anthony Napoli was the host of Nathan's original joke reality TV show that he created called The Hunk.
How dare you? This man was trying to find love, hypothetically while married.
Yes, but Anthony Napoli and Nathan seemed to have some sort of beef, so unclear if they've made up since filming the Hunk and the Celebration episode, but it would have been fun to see him come back.
Well, now that you've put that idea out there, I wish so badly that happened. I can't believe it didn't now, but that's okay.
Maybe we'll have to do a little check-in on what Anthony Napoli's up to later on, but
Is he too handsome to host a singing competition?
he would have been a good stand-in in the Fielder method. Like, maybe he should have been brought in as one of the Collins.
Bringing in previous Nathan For You actors, and I guess a lot of them weren't actors, business owners, would have been really fun, getting to see them pop up and see if any of them were actors.
Yeah, I feel like some of them, I'm sure, had turned this little bit of acting that they had done into something, but
Who
alas.
was the Pinks actor who...
Oh, yeah, I think his name was Jonathan. I hope you're hungry for nothing.
Yeah, we could have brought him back. He could have been a Colin.
He should come back, actually. That would be an incredible pull to bring that guy back. So Nathan talks about the fact that he's so distracted with everything that he's learned about these co-pilots that he basically can't focus on anything else. He specifically is upset about the fact that he learned that these co-pilots and pilots aren't really able to talk to a therapist. So in order to kind of facilitate some discussions for the pilots for the co-pilots who are judging Wings of Voice, he has some of the crew or some of the actors from the Fielder method come in to act as the crew on the show and essentially start discussions with the co-pilots so that they just have somewhere to vent, maybe share their feelings. But he makes sure that us and the FAA are aware that this is definitely not therapy. Just people having a discussion.
Yeah, just friends chit-chatting, getting to know each other, talking about their divorces, talking about their breakups. And this is where we meet the star, well, one of the stars of this episode, Colin, who is a pilot. He is a first officer for the air cargo company, and he is having trouble opening up to the fake boom mic operator. He wants to talk about his dating life, but even in this short conversation, we see he's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, do we think that he was just uncomfortable in general talking about his dating life? Because the boom mic operator seemed to like really be honing in on that fact, and I'm wondering if maybe he just didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, Colin seems to have a ton of different interests that we see when he's having different conversations with Emma. So I'm sure if one of his other more niche interests had come up and not about his dating life, which we know is a little bit non-existent at this point. So maybe there just also wasn't much to discuss. He's a pilot. He's away a lot. We see that he has sent a few DMs out to test the waters with some women, but he doesn't have a lot going on. So it's almost a hard conversation to start.
Yeah, for sure. And Nathan says he's not surprised by the fact that Colin might be struggling with his dating life because something he's noticed with the pilot, as we've discussed, is that there's such a lack of communication between the pilots and the co-pilots. They just aren't building that relationship when they first meet before they take off. And Nathan's kind of building this parallel between that and perhaps some of the co-pilots having some dating struggles.
Yeah, so Nathan really hones in on Colin's dating struggles. They chat about how he has tried to send out some messages, trying to be a more outgoing or cooler version of himself so that he can approach women, say, hey, we hear that he's asking for any travel tips for Greenland and Iceland. Do we think messaging people for travel tips is a great conversation opener?
I feel like this is actually a really good icebreaker because it's pretty low stakes. You know, you're not going the kind of Jeff method of perhaps being a little bit more forward. It seems pretty casual and you really can have a conversation about places you've traveled. Like, I feel like it's such an easy thing to keep talking about versus, you know, just saying, hey, like you're hot or something like that.
Oh yeah, travel tips is way, way easier. I thought that this was a great opener. We're disappointed to find out that it doesn't end up panning out, but luckily for us, we get to pursue a lot of different avenues for Colin's dating life. And this is when we are introduced to Nathan Fielder's new method, the pack. So it is inspired by nature documentaries and the fact that animals hunt in packs and it gives them more confidence. He wants to know if this will make his social interactions less scary. So, for example, he wants Colin to rehearse some dating situations with an actress, and we see Colin show up, and we have 15 people dressed in the exact same outfit as him, mimicking everything he says and does immediately after him.
I think that the actual idea here does make sense. It is really scary to do something alone, you know, even just going out to an event by yourself can sometimes feel really intimidating. So I think that part of this plan is really smart and spot on. Maybe the method that we go about it isn't the most comfortable, but I think this has some potential. What did you think when he first talked about the pack?
Oh, it seems like a really bad idea to me. I think about even hearing a bit of an echo when you're on a phone call and how distracting and annoying that is. So, having 15 people talking over you, repeating what you're saying, I would find it impossible to have a conversation. I think you get a similar result if you just went on a double date. You have a friend, someone you know well, someone who knows your interests and what topics to bring up to almost wingman, wingwoman you a little bit would have been a good approach, travel with a buddy. But Colin is in a lot of situations where he's traveling by himself. So I did think that this was maybe not the best method.
It seems risky because what if the person that you're on the date with is more into someone from the pack than you? Like, what if you have Evie, aka the eye girl, in that pack and she's, you know, giving your date the eye, and then all of a sudden, like, you've lost your chance because Evie's just stunned them into making out with her?
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think of the risks. The competition, they're wearing the exact same outfit as you.
They might look better. Oh my god.
Exactly. It's who wore it better, you versus 15 people. What are your chances?
Like, I'm gonna go ahead and say if I was in the same outfit as 15 other people, like, at least 7 of those people probably look better than me.
Okay, the idea gets worse and worse. At least have them dressed in like all black morph suits or something.
Oh god. Like the people who are holding the puppets.
Yeah.
They could have just saved on the costume budget, just reused those. It would have been perfect.
In fact, we should have made Colin the puppet. We could have had the people in the black morph suits moving his arms, giving him that confidence, helping him answer the questions. They could have helped whisper answers to him. You know, really, really support him, but not overshadow him.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how the pack worked out. We'll keep chatting about it. But so we learned a couple of facts about Colin. He drinks black coffee. He could maybe survive for one day without having coffee. And after his fake date, he's going straight to the airport.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people who he's approaching are at the airport based on his explanation. And so it seemed like if you are a pilot and you are walking through, or if you're on your way to work and you see someone really cute, is that where you take your chance? Do you only do it in your home state?
Yeah, I've never really thought about how I would go about trying to meet people if I was a pilot. It does seem pretty difficult. I think a lot of them are probably just like on the apps playing the numbers game, similar to Jeff before he got banned. But yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of do have to be a bit bold and just strike up a conversation with people who are traveling.
Which seems very against how a lot of these pilots are used to interacting. As we see, they barely talk to their co-pilots to begin with. So I don't know how many pilots are walking up to people at the airport, but Colin even trying would be a great effort.
Yeah, if you fucked a pilot that you met in the airport, let us know.
Yeah. Who approached who first?
Yeah, tell us how that went. Do we have a favorite pack member?
Oh, of course. Of course it's Emma. What do you mean? How is this a real question? Emma and Donna, who thinks that Einstein is the hottest or the most intelligent.
Yeah.
Those are the obvious two. Did you have someone else?
I really liked all of them, and I think that my favorite thing about the pack was that it really was not it wasn't important that the pack looks like Colin. Like, we've seen Nathan go to great lengths to cast people who look somewhat similar to their their primary. But in this case, we had women playing Colin. We had people of all different ethnicities playing Colin. Like, I thought that was really funny just to see this big group of completely different looking people all playing this one guy.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to delve into the mind of the person you're dating and act like them?
I don't think I have, but I guess it might be an interesting exercise. I think that me and my husband think pretty similarly. To be honest, it might be hard because he is significantly smarter than me. So it would be difficult for me to inhabit his little computer engineering brain.
Now, some of the scenes where the pack is copying Colin, also Kelly's husband's name, there was one scene that they were having Panda Express, and we see Colin eating Panda Express, and everyone else is mimicking, pretending to eat Panda Express around him, which as a pack member, I would be very upset that I did not also get to eat Panda Express. But some of these tasks that they're given, they don't have to think too deeply about. They don't have to really get to know him as a person. They just have to copy what he's saying, which is different than how we normally treat a primary. We see people dive a little bit deeper into who Colin is, but I think that they needed to study him a lot more than they did.
Yeah, they did kind of just mimic him and kind of half-assedly repeat the things that he was saying. But I think for the visual comedic bit of it all, it was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah. So Nathan has a theory that the beginning of a relationship is similar to the beginning stages of meeting a pilot and a co-pilot. What do you think about that theory?
I think it does make sense. We've seen from previous episodes the co-pilot and the pilot don't really get to speak very much before the flight. So it is kind of like an awkward first meeting, trying to make small talk. But I think where he falls off a bit is like those two people are probably not going to fuck, I assume. Like, again, I don't know. I'm not a pilot. If you are a pilot who's fucked your co-pilot, that let us know.
Also message us.
Please let us know. I want to hear all about it.
At Nathan for Us Pod.
But I think that's where it kind of diverges because, you are into your pilot or your co-pilot. You think the other person's attractive, but at the end of the day, you're still working. So I imagine that you are trying to at least be somewhat professional in that capacity versus, on a date. You generally can have a bit more personality. You can be a bit sillier. You don't need to be, literally doing your job.
Yeah, I think when you're going on a date with someone, you've probably already established that you're interested. You're excited to talk to them. You can't wait to talk to them. If you saw them, you would probably start yapping away immediately. This is more of a blind date with someone you show up and you don't think you're super into, is more so my impression. But we need to take this a step further. Nathan wants a real date for Colin. And we're not having any luck so far, which is devastating. So he asks the members of the pack, hey, is anyone here into Colin? Like, into Colin? And we get 3 takers.
Yeah, okay, I will say, I know I was inspired by you talking about how you think Nathan could have taken things further last week.
Oh, thank you. Welcome.
I was thinking that during this episode, like, why are we not doing a dating show for Colin?
Speaking of Anthony, why are we not just hosting the hunk again?
Like, it would have been fantastic.
It would have been really, really good.
We already have the set of the airport, Wings of Love. I keep calling Wings of Voice Wings of Love for some reason, which I think was just a season of The Bachelor. It's right there. There's so many puns about flying and romance. Like, I think that this really would have just tied it all together for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so disappointed. But we have 3 women come forward who say that they are interested. I'm not fully sure of their intentions. So the 3 women are one, Emma, who we know and believe is actually interested in Colin. She says he seems very sweet and she loves that he likes to go on adventures. The second blonde woman is Lily Keene. And she thinks Colin could seem funny once you get to know him and he opens up. And our final contestant, I guess, is Donna. And she is attracted to people based on their intelligence and brings us one of the funniest moments in Nathan Fielder history.
Yes, I forgive the not having the hunk part 2 happen because of this whole thing. It is absolutely incredible. Donna reveals to us that, she thinks that Colin seems maybe a little bit reserved, but he might be funny once you get to know him. He seems intelligent and possibly very charming. And then she reveals that she thinks that a particular scientist is very sexy. She thinks that Einstein is sexy, and she discovered this in a very interesting way.
Yes, we are going to add a book to our Lit with Kelly book club, the Albert Einstein biography. Now, not for the faint of heart. It is
Seemingly.
the hottest, spiciest book of the summer.
Catch me on Book Talk hyping this up to the girlies. I'm like, Allie Hazelwood, get out of here. BK Borison, like, sorry, you are so boring and dated now. Like, we are all reading the Einstein biography.
The ladies are having awake wet dreams about Albert Einstein this summer.
So the really important question, like, is Einstein hot? Do we see the vision?
Is intelligence attractive? Yes.
Yes.
I think a lot of people think intelligence is sexy. So sexy? I don't know. I would need to see a modern day Einstein, because in his current form, I would maybe say he wouldn't be my initial go-to summer fling.
I feel like we could throw him on like a Queer Eye, and I think they could like work some magic. I think the biggest problem is I just don't really know Einstein's personality other than that he's very intelligent, obviously. So that would be tough to parse out.
Yeah, I did want an objective opinion, so I did ask ChatGPT if they, the robots, thought Einstein was hot, and they said not traditionally attractive.
Okay, that's fair, I think. I think we could say, yeah, he's not a conventionally attractive person.
Now, there's very few times that we see Nathan Fielder break. And this is one of them. And the fact that Donna didn't just become the star of this episode is shocking to me. If she's not a major character in the future, I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah,
you just found this woman? What do you mean? How
really
aren't
delivered.
we trying to find her intelligent king?
Yeah, she delivered big time on this statement. It was very good. Do you have any out-of-pocket celebrity crushes?
All of them look like they've been punched in the face a little bit. They're all funny and look a little silly, I think.
I feel like weird celebrity crushes, until I had heard this Einstein thing, I thought that weird celebrity crushes were gone, because I feel like for a long time it was like, oh, like I have like weird taste. I think like Andy Samberg is hot. And now it's like that is just a fact. Like there are girls out here thirsting for Andy Samberg and thirsting for these people who, used to be not considered conventionally attractive. But this Einstein one, this might be a one of one. Like I've never heard of this until this woman said it. And for that, I say thank you, Donna.
Yeah, apparently Einstein had a child when he was very young, which to Donna means that, yeah, he was hot. He knew
He's
it.
virile.
He's out there having babies. The women want him. I don't actually know enough about Einstein's love life and need to know immediately. Okay,
We're going to read the biography. Don't worry. You're going to get spoilers.
Do we think he talks about his love life, or someone talks about his love life?
I doubt that it's like a big chapter, but I do think that there's probably at least some inclusions. Like it's got to be a big part of his life.
Okay, I'm Googling. It was complex and turbulent, marked by 2 marriages, multiple affairs, an emotionally intense relationship. Here's an overview.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. Oh. Albert.
Yeah, we have a lot to go over and not a single name I can pronounce.
Oh, good.
So Maliva is his first wife. He was married from 1903, divorced in 1919. She was a Serbian physicist and mathematician, an intelligent
Oh.
queen.
A woman in STEM.
A woman in STEM. They fell in love while studying together. Their bond was both intellectual and emotional, although it later became strained. They had a daughter born out of wedlock, which must be what Donna was referring to, and her fate remains unknown. It says in brackets, likely adopted or died in infancy.
Oh my goodness.
He has 2 other children, both sons. One of them who became an engineer, and the other, it just said, struggled with mental illness. So, a relevant topic for our pilots. And he got divorced in 1919. And then Elsa, his second wife, they got married in, 1919. That timeline is not, that is not lining up for me.
Albie.
Donna, we got to rethink our men. And
what was the first wife's name?
Maliva.
Maliva's out here posting in the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook group.
Writing it in the newspapers.
She's on TikTok.
Shouting it. Yeah.
She's like, my husband lied to me, part 55. And everyone in the comments is like, yes, queen, leave his ass.
Okay. Immediately, as I scroll down a little, it says they began an affair while he was still married. Yeah.
Albert. I think he's canceled now because of this.
Yeah, definitely.
An enemy of the podcast. Albert Einstein is officially an enemy of this podcast.
Oh no, I just posted a thirst trap video about him.
Go check out our TikTok if you haven't already, at Nathan For Us Podcast.
Me at midnight making thirst traps of Albert Einstein, talking about having wet dreams about him on TikTok. When he's out here cheating on his first wife.
He didn't deserve that TikTok.
No. Elsa managed many of his public affairs and acted as a caretaker when his health declined. They did not have any children together, but Elsa did have children from a previous marriage. Apparently, their relationship was more practical than passionate, which I don't know how that's possible if they had an affair. So Einstein had a reputation for being romantically involved with many women, including another woman named Bettina, a 4th woman named Margaret, and a 5th woman named Ethel. Among others, what is happening here?
Oh my god, Albert Einstein's a fuckboy.
Apparently, letters revealed flirtation, infidelity, and emotional detachment from his partners.
Wait, so he's more Jeff than Colin?
He is way more Jeff than Colin. He once admitted in a letter that he needed female companionship and was not interested in monogamy.
Wow. Oh my god. He wanted to be an ethical non-monogamist. That's crazy. Okay, Einstein is really out here. This is the wildest thing. Honestly, I'm kind of sad that we got an entire Sully episode and really just this one Einstein line. Now I'm like, damn, Nathan should have reenacted Albert Einstein's life as well.
Absolutely. That would have been so funny. And I didn't know any of this about Einstein. If Einstein ever comes up in a conversation again, I'm going to believe that cheating, non-monogamous man.
I thought you were going to say if Einstein ever comes on the podcast, and I was like, I'm going to hold your hand when I tell you this, but
what?
He's no longer with us.
What do you mean? I read the dates out loud. I don't think he's born in his first marriage was in 1903.
I do feel like maybe we can find one of his descendants and check out a picture of them, and then maybe we could see the vision that our girl on the show was having.
I don't know. I don't think she knew this about him.
She read the book.
Oh, I guess you're right. But was the book about his love life? Pull up Goodreads.
I assume she probably is like me and read the top one called Einstein, His Life and Universe by Walter Isaacson. It has really great reviews, 4.17 with 195,367 ratings. So,
are any of them talking about how hot he is?
Oh, the first review is actually interesting. It was written on August 14th, 2008, which is actually my 16th birthday. And it was from Laurel. She gave it 5 stars. And she said, I decided to read this book primarily because of my fiance's interest in Einstein's life and theories, but she thought it might actually help me to actually have a somewhat intelligent reply on the rare occasion he starts talking physics. Don't tell him I said so, but he is much smarter than I am. Laurel, give yourself some credit, girl. You're very smart, I'm sure.
Kelly, look in the mirror. What did you say earlier about your Colin?
You're right.
Take the advice you would give others.
I will say, looking through this biography, it seems like a lot of it is kind of about his scientific imagination. It doesn't seem like it talks a lot about his sexual escapades, but it is apparently very long. You know, we will have to get into it ourselves to find out exactly what happened.
There's nothing I personally want to read less.
Like this person says, it's detailed in-depth probing of Einstein's life, personal, intellectual, scientific, political, and cultural. It only goes from 1879 to 1955, so the marriages would be in there. There's a lot of quotations from Einstein's correspondence, essays, and personal papers. So
The spicy letters.
I would hope that the spicy letters are included, but I just don't know very much about the author Walter Isaacson and how much of a messy bitch he is, if he's including this type of gossip.
So while discussing Einstein's biography, Nathan asks what a wet dream for a woman is, because Donna had explained that she had gotten one of those while reading it. And she tells him, lets Nathan know women can get wet too. I cannot believe that they pan back to Nathan's face because this man was about to lose his mind.
An objectively hilarious thing to say to a grown man who is like, obviously Nathan's not a huge celebrity, but he's like pretty famous.
This is an incredible comeback. I hope this is said to men more often.
Honestly, she's a feminist for this.
Hilarious. The fact that this episode didn't take a hard right turn into Donna's life is very surprising. Now, we follow her on Instagram. Her name is Awoke by a Stroke. She is Donna DeMali. She's a celebrity photographer. She experienced a stroke on an airplane. Awoke by a Stroke chronicles her journey from tragedy to triumph. So she actually does talk a lot about her experience having a stroke on a plane. And I am interested to see if that comes up later. And since she is a celebrity photographer, how she ended up cast for this gig.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I kind of hope that we get a bit more of her story because that is a really wild thing to have happen. And it's amazing that she seemingly made a full recovery and was on the show. So good for her. She's killing it.
Yeah, we hope to report back with some more information. So Nathan lets everyone know that the next day during break, if they want to go and chat with Colin, the door is open. And they are allowed to go speak with him, see if maybe they can get something started.
Yeah, the door city is open.
Let the games begin.
It's a funny way to kind of just leave these 3 people, but we see Emma starting to pursue Colin first. She breaks the ice asking him about his experience going to school, and they chat a bit about travel. He reveals that he wants to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And then she is quickly interrupted because our girl comes in to get in there and mention that Colin has a reserved sexuality about him. And it reminds her of Einstein.
Amazing. I bet Colin watching this back would have found this hilarious. I'm so interested to ask him what he thinks about it. We were actually lucky enough to talk to Colin. We're going to be having him on the show. And so after the episode, we're going to ask everyone to submit us questions. We'll post about it on our Instagram, our TikTok page. Send us questions you have for Colin. We're definitely going to have some of our own. He can't talk about everything because he, like everyone else, has signed an NDA, but there's lots we can chat about. So I'm really looking forward to that. Emma seems so genuine, so sweet. I love that she let Donna kind of cut in and and also didn't die laughing listening to their conversation. She seems like a genuinely really sweet person. She is on Instagram at Emma Jordan 1998, and she owns a candle making shop called Shop Winifred, which is a candle shop whose mission it is to bring plastic-free, zero-waste vegan goods to the Midwest, 100% soy candles. So an environmentalist. She seems so kind. So everyone go check her out.
Yeah, she really seems like a very sweet person. I think she comes off so well in the show too. Like she is kind of one of these perfect kind of straight man characters on the show where I feel like she is funny, like she makes a couple of jokes, but she isn't as outlandish as some people that we see on the rehearsal and on Nathan's other shows. But she is such a nice match for Colin in this little setup we have going on.
Yeah, I actually thought that their personalities aligned really well. They seem to have a similar sense of humor. We never see Lily, the other blonde woman, come back. So we're not sure if she did shoot her shot or if she never went up to Colin. But it seems that Colin responds best to Emma. And we kind of remove Emma from being an actor for part of it. And she becomes one of the principals in the Fielder method.
Emma and Colin are going to go out for coffee. So Nathan has 5 different female actors and 5 male actors studying each of them. And he has a plan to basically set up these 5 sets of actors to see which one is the most successful so that he has the exact blueprint for how Emma and Colin can make it as a couple.
Yeah, we learn a few more of Colin's interests. He loves hiking. He loves trivia. I thought maybe he and Cor could be friends. And then also when we set up the coffee shop, why isn't there a date at Nate's Lizard Lounge?
Yeah, I wonder if it's because Nate's Lizard Lounge just doesn't have coffee, you know? We have to be pure, and I don't think that the Alligator Lounge has coffee, so maybe that's the reasoning.
Yeah, it has to be 100% authentic.
It is wild to me that essentially, so Nathan has built 5 exact replicas of Colin's studio apartment, and he's going to have these people reenacting all these things in the apartments. But to me, like, he basically created an AI model here, but in real life.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate I feel like these experiments were. I think a lot of the actors and actresses really just were being themselves and were trying to pursue someone that they were interested in and needed to maybe take a step back and think about how Colin and Emma would actually act in this situation. So Nathan allows the actors to pair it based on who they liked the best. And I'm not sure if they really got to know Colin and Emma enough.
Yeah, I feel like they progressed so quickly as the couples, and it just seemed like they kind of were acting as themselves to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I thought a lot of the actors had even said little quips and lines that we caught here and there. Where getting to know Colin, I thought, oh man, Colin would never say that. One of the pretend Collins was going on about how he could be a butler and his pretend Emma could ring for him and he'd come over in his uniform. I'm like, I don't know if that's a Colin move. I think Colin would rather talk about his fish.
Yeah, or show off his different hobbies. Like, he has a lot of hobbies and he has a lot of stuff to talk about, but
he's super interesting. He has tons to talk about. He would like to sit, have a nice glass of wine, and chit chat.
Yeah, which we see later. So proven out that that's what he would do.
Yeah.
And we also meet another star of the episode. This episode, we really just meet a lot of really fun characters. And it is actress Evie Eden. And that is one of the people that Nathan starts to talk to at first, who is in this experiment paired up with one of the fake Collins. So Evie explains this kind of method that she uses to try and signal to, you know, someone she's on a date with that she wants them to kiss her. And she calls it the eye, you know. You go eyes, lips, eyes, and then they're supposed to kiss you. And fake Colin, you know, didn't get the hint.
Incredible. I hope we can all start to apply this to our lives. I hope everybody gets the kisses they desire after this incredible tactic we've all learned. I think I've definitely been in a lot of situations where I really want someone to kiss me, but I personally don't have the courage to go for it. You know, you try to like subtly imply that you want them to kiss you. Definitely looking at someone's lips, I feel, is a dead giveaway.
Yeah, I also was like, oh my God, like she had it down like
Oh
so
my
well.
gosh. I don't know how Nathan didn't kiss her.
I know. It was
I
actually unreal.
smitten. I was like, oh my gosh. Beautiful, amazing actress. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, hire this woman for everything. She was killing it. She was so funny in this very short period of time that we saw her with this one random throwaway about the eye.
Yeah. Now, Evie posted on her Instagram page that she was actually informed that she was booked for the rehearsal. She fully knew what was happening. She had seen season 1, and so she was so stoked and excited to hear that she had booked season 2. So she's one of the actresses who knew what she was booked for, which is really fun to read about.
Yeah, it's very cool for her. I'm sure that it was definitely I'm sure she kind of went into it being like, what am I actually signing up for? Because even though you know you're walking onto a Nathan Fielder, the rehearsal set, I'm sure you're still like, okay, you know, is he going to be dressed as a giant, you know, baby Sully? Like, you really still can't really predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like we've been asking for a lot of feedback this episode. But if you give someone the eyes, lips, eyes, and it works, I beg of you, tell me about it. We have had so much fun chatting with so many of you online. You are all such fun little wacky weirdos like us. Tell us about the eyes, lips, eyes, babies.
I know. I'm like, sadly, I'm married, but maybe I'll try eyes, lips, eyes tonight as well with my Colin.
Whoa. Did he watch the episode? He'll know.
He did.
Yeah, he'll know what you're pulling.
Unfortunately, he is pretty similar to the pilot Colin, so I don't even know if he would necessarily make the connection right away. So we'll have to see. I'll report back.
So Nathan shows Colin what they have been up to, which must have been very surprising to walk into 5 versions of your apartment and to see people kind of hooking up in them.
Yeah, this is one of the questions that I definitely want to ask him. I just want to know, like, because his reaction seems a little bit subdued when we see him looking at it. I think he just says, like, oh, that's interesting. So I'm kind of curious if he kind of was just internalizing what was going on, because this is just a wild thing to see.
Yeah, having a camera on you, talking to Nathan Fielder, trying to digest what you are even expected to do, how you're supposed to react, the scale of how far this man has gone to try to get you a date. Because it's not as if, and you know, we can ask, but it does not appear as if he came onto this show expecting it to evolve into his dating life. He was one of the judges on Wings of, not Love, on Wings of Voice. Is that all he was told? Who's to say? But now suddenly there's replicas of your apartment. You are on a dating show. We're trying to mitigate all of the possible risks that could come up between you and Emma, which I wasn't seeing play out. I didn't see any of the couples come up and say, here's a potential impasse these 2 personalities might come up against, and here's how we had worked through it. It seemed like a lot of these pairings were in these apartments for a really long period of time. Maybe making out just saved you having to come up with a conversation again.
Work smarter, not harder.
We don't know how long they were there for. If you don't actually know much about fish or wine or the swords on the wall, how do you keep the conversation going in this character? I think they needed to spend a lot more time with Colin and Emma, and I'm very much looking forward to finding out how many questions they were asked, how long they had, and if he was able to apply any of this research to his actual date.
Or his job.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I wonder if it was kind of hard because the apartment is so specific. Like you said, there's the wine and like the spear on the wall and these fish. So I wonder if just to the actors, a lot of this stuff just doesn't make sense. If you don't know anything about Portuguese wine, like how are you really going to chat about that? So yeah, maybe you do just be like, all right, let's just make out and we'll get paid our however much based on SAG so that we get paid and get our crafty and then go home.
So, yeah, we have Nathan who is now asking Colin if on his date with Emma there was any kiss action. Colin says no. And we dive into a little bit. Did Colin notice any hints that maybe Emma was giving? Because after chatting with Emma, we learned that, she would have liked a kiss. She would have loved a kiss. One of the great things is you get to tell Nathan exactly what you want in the situation and he can go do all of the dirty work for you. You can be like, I'm dying for this man to kiss me. And Nathan's like, I have a lot of cameras and can name you Captain what Powers?
Captain Powers.
And Jenny kiss me and make it happen. Which is crazy. But we dive into, were there any subtle hints you were giving? Is it anything that Colin noticed? And Colin was not picking up what Emma was putting down. But, the hints can be really subtle. So if she did give him the eyes, lips, eyes, he did not notice, which having the pack, Colin said, was helpful and would help him perhaps pursue a kiss in the future.
I wonder how much of this is also just him being a bit uncomfortable with all the cameras. I also think it's funny that, we do hear that Emma's like, yeah, I would like him to kiss me. And then when we finally do get the kiss, it's like, oh no, it was so brief. So I do understand why maybe they are not together, but.
And also on the cheek.
Yes, which I'm wondering if he maybe was just trying to be respectful. Like, he's not an actor, so I feel like he probably feels awkward just kissing this woman, even though they're supposed to be, acting together and her name is Jennifer Kissme and all of these other things. It is still a very weird scenario where I'm sure he doesn't feel like he can actually get her consent. And it's just very murky, as all of the things that Nathan does. Like, all of this is very murky.
Yeah, I thought that Colin was very respectful. He did a great job. We get to see Nate's Lizard Lounge again, which is super fun, which is where Nathan and Emma had chatted about if she really likes him and what she's hoping for. She thinks things are going really well and that Colin loves some of her jokes.
That's important. Some might say the most important thing is that your partner laughs at your joke.
Yeah, I would say being funny is absolutely number one in my books, for sure. And it's like, if you can make me laugh, we can work on everything else, I think.
Yeah, so we see Colin and Emma go on another date, and they go to putt-putt or mini-putt. How do we feel about a putt-putt date?
I love it. I think it's so fun. I think real golf is way, way, way worse than mini putt. Mini putt is putting in the effort. Golf wishes it could. You get all these fun little things, like all these traps and sand and little water areas. There's wheels going. There's giant dinosaurs. You can walk around and chit chat. The stakes feel super low. You can be with someone and just joke around and have a great time. I thought it was a wonderful first date. Or second date?
Technically, I guess second. I mean, do we count the ones with the fake girls? I don't know.
1000th date in the algorithm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that mini putt is such a good activity to do together because, yeah, it's pretty low risk. It's very, low pressure, too, because I say this about, if you go on a first date to a baseball game, you can just pretend that you're really into baseball if you don't end up liking the person. And similar to mini golf, you can just pretend that you're really into the mini golf and you're, concentrating so you can't joke around or whatnot.
Oh my gosh, hard disagree. Who could pretend to like baseball? They're so long. They're 3 hours.
They're not as long anymore. There's a pitch clock now. It's not as bad.
Oh my gosh, a nightmare.
I'm a noted baseball stan, so I must defend the game of baseball.
The worst game.
We also see that at the end of the date, or not at the end of the date, we're hoping to see at the end of the date a kiss, but during the date, we see a high five. How would you react to a high five on a date? Is that like a deal breaker for you?
No, I feel like you need so much more context. I think a high five is fun. You know, it's a first date. You really don't know the other person well yet. You don't know their comfort level. Maybe there's someone who likes to wait a few dates until like they can feel close to you. I think ideally, maybe you would hold hands a little bit, have a goodbye kiss. Like, yeah, you would love that, but you also want to make sure that the other person's comfortable where you're at. And I think it's better to wait than maybe go a little bit early and they're not ready, because that would be a little scary too.
For sure.
But, you know, Emma clearly wanted a kiss. And so it's a little bit too bad. A high five isn't bad. It's not great. At least it's something.
At least it wasn't like when she wanted him to kiss her. Like they did do a little hug at the end.
Yeah.
When they said goodbye, it was palpable. Like I feel like everyone has been in that moment at the end of the date where you're like standing there and the date's over, but you don't really know what to say or like if the other person's going to make the move or if you should make the move and you need to like get in your car or your Uber or whatever. And I feel like it was just so wild to watch this on screen just because it felt so real to experiences that are pretty universal.
Oh my gosh, literally the worst. It's awful. So stressful.
I famously, the first date that my husband and I went on, we were roommates at the time. And
so was I.
And Megan also lived in our house. And I was like, you have to take me on a lunch date because if we go on a dinner date, we both just go home after and then the date never ends. So you have to take me out for lunch and then like bring me home and then like you go somewhere else.
You need to leave the premises.
Yeah. Which honestly,
Which is a great idea.
It worked out for us. So that's my dating advice for anyone listening.
Be roommates, fall in love, you're trapped.
Go on a lunch date so that you're not on a date that never ends.
Well, you kind of are.
Yeah, we're still on the date. Help me.
You were never not roommates after that.
Yeah. You want to move back in?
So badly. Just me and my cats will come hang out with you, Eddie and Colin. That's the dream.
But alas, we kind of go back to the couples after seeing the date, and we see that a lot of the couples that Nathan has rehearsing in the apartments have progressed far beyond the actual couple of Emma and Colin. So we see them like making out, they're holding hands, they're just like kind of, they're really going for it. Their method, you know?
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of them are just acting like themselves and they're not actually trying to act as if Colin and Emma would in that situation. We see Colin and Emma, they were supposed to play other characters, but I really feel like in their scene as well, they just went back and kind of reverted to being themselves. And so a lot of this, I don't know how much data actually helped Colin and Emma. And again, what we really learned from this experiment.
Yeah, I wonder if part of it is that this show is pitched to people and described as like a meta documentary. And I wonder if that kind of marketing of the show gets into some of the actors' heads where it's almost like confusing because you're in this thing that's a meta documentary, but you're supposed to be playing another character, but you also are playing yourself. Like we see Evie talking about the eye as herself, right? That's not her playing a character when she's explaining her eye move. But then she also needs to be fake Emma. So I think maybe part of it is just that it's a bit confusing for the actors too.
Yeah, it's definitely a very difficult role to play. Again, we don't know how much exposure they've had to Colin and Emma, how in depth they can go. And you also don't know how this relationship would actually progress. So you are having to chat with this person seemingly all day. We don't know how many days this experiment went on for. And so it is very, very difficult to tell how their relationship could have actually gone.
Yeah, so we see Nathan, who he's talking to the couples, and he tells us that he's allowed anyone who thinks that they have a conflict of interest to opt out of this experiment. So, anyone who has a partner, they don't need to participate in this if they don't want to, if they think their partner is going to be uncomfortable. And we see one actress who's saying that, oh, no, it's okay. My partner's not going to care because in the moment, it's not going to be, a real emotion. Like, I'm just acting, so it's fine. And then we kind of hear this story that Nathan's telling us about how when he was on The Curse, which is, of course, on Paramount Plus, a network with questionable views, he was playing a loving husband to an actress, which wild to call two-time Academy Award winner Emily Stone just an actress, and also his friend. But he said that he was supposed to be in love with her, but he was really just mimicking how he sees other people being in love. And so he's kind of just talking about how that was difficult for him.
Yeah, it's really funny that he phrases it as if he has to mimic how other people are in love with their partners when he was married.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, drawing on my own experience being in love with my wife. And also very brave of him. I don't know how you don't fall in love with Emma Stone.
Yeah, literally, like, if she's giving me the eye, like, I'm getting a divorce, I guess.
Apologies to all the Collins. The Emmas are elite this episode.
Yeah, I feel like he would understand. But yeah, it is a weird statement. I almost wonder if his wife has, asked him to not talk about the relationship.
I don't know. I feel like you're not mentioning her name or anything, but if you implied you have to look at other people to pretend you know what love is, that would sting.
Yeah, it would not feel good. It definitely would not.
You have to live through watching your husband on the hunk and then also learn he has to mimic other people to pretend he knows what love is.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about it briefly in the first season during that scene when they're in the pool, when he's in the pool with, I believe it was Core, and the elderly swimmer interrupts them.
Yes.
But yeah, we haven't heard much more about that since. So anyway, we meet another stellar character, and it is the intimacy coordinator who is on set. Her name is Carly Zien.
Yeah, she's great.
She really rocks. I feel like it's always interesting. Like, I get a lot of intimacy coordinators popping up on my TikTok, and I always find their jobs just so interesting to me because it's one of those things that is a newer job in the movie industry. And just to kind of hear about what they're doing on film sets to make sure that everyone's feeling safe and heard and all of these things, I think is really cool. It's a very, very interesting line of work.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic right now. We have the big court case going on with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. The intimacy coordinator is mentioned quite a bit in that. We're seeing it come up more and more in the media. And every time I've seen an intimacy coordinator discuss their position, they talk about these scenes almost closer to a coordinated dance. Where all of the choreography is decided, it is discussed ahead of time, everyone understands this is what you're doing when, this is where your hands are going to be. They have a much smaller set happening. You ask anyone unnecessary to step away to give the actors a little bit more privacy. A lot of steps are taken to make sure everyone is very comfortable, and it's a little bit more clinical than it is romantic. So in this scene, when the intimacy coordinator goes and chats with some of the couples, some of them have already been making out and kissing, and Nathan has really left it up to them and their comfort level. They didn't have to do anything. They were not required. They could have been a little bit more like the real life Colin and Emma, where they didn't really progress that far physically. You got a kiss on the cheek. They could have spent their time chatting, but I think all of them had chosen not to.
I feel like we only really kind of zero in on one or two of the couples that we see kind of taking it even further than everyone else, just for the story purposes, it feels like. But yeah, it's interesting that we saw so many of them go this far.
Yeah, I guess we'll never know what was actually said outside of the cameras. But a lot of these relationships do seem to progress quite a bit. Nathan also decides to bring in the significant others of the actors. And three of the actresses' significant others show up to watch. Now, of course, No one had to show up. And the actresses did have to give Nathan their partner's information. So we don't know how many people in total had partners, how many of them showed up, how many of them chose not to participate in this, but they are sitting behind a screen watching their partners in the room playing Emma and Colin.
Occasionally I get the icky feeling watching Nathan's stuff, and this was definitely one where I was like, okay, this is a bit crossing a line where he's like really fucking with real people's relationships in a way that does feel like very manipulative. We also see there's the one partner who comes in, and the only way I can describe him is that he's the one with the floppy hair. You know what I mean. He's
Yeah.
kind of got like the like mid 2000s surfer kind of floppy hair. So he was shown watching the screens of one actress, but I believe that that is actually Evie's partner. And that was not who was on the screen that he was watching. So I think there was also some movie magic going on here to kind of make the reactions seem more maybe subdued to the audience than you would have thought.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. So that's a good thing to pick up on. Oh, this would be the worst. Having to watch your partner do this would be literal torture. They are all much stronger than me. That would be horrific to sit through. But good for them to really compartmentalize, understand it's a job. Like if you are an actor or an actress, this is the kind of significant other you want who is so supportive of you. They are showing up to cheer you on, and it's rough, but they are being a professional. They have an intimacy coordinator on set, and even though Nathan had said you can choose what to do, which I think would be pretty rough to watch back as the partner, where it's like you could have maybe opted out of this or chosen not to pursue it. They are trying to pursue a career in film and television, and they want to get more experience and more exposure. It's just the worst.
Again, it just kind of sucks when it feels like this could actually like hurt someone's personal life. Like to me that just doesn't feel great. Hopefully like that didn't happen and all of these people are, their partners are very understanding. It seemed like the people who we spoke to did understand what was going on, and they're like, yeah, this is just their job. So hopefully that's the case. And don't quote me on the Evie thing. I'm pretty sure that that's what I saw, maybe on like Reddit or something, that someone pointed that out.
I definitely don't blame Nathan for any breakups in at least this grouping of people. I think I disagree a little bit there. He said fully optional, do whatever you want. They invited the significant others out. They didn't have to say yes. They chose to show up. They chose to watch. Each of the partners knew that their significant other was watching while they were there. We saw one of the actresses come back and hug her partner and say hello to them. So everybody chose exactly what they wanted to do. Maybe they felt like they had no choice to do the experiment properly. But as far as we could see, Nathan said completely up to you. And we didn't see him coordinating or directing them in a specific direction.
We hear Nathan kind of talking about the fact that when people are acting, that they kind of are disarmed and basically they're given a free pass to show their true feelings. And for co-pilots, this might mean speaking up about their fears. And for pilots, this might mean admitting that they don't know everything. So his new hypothesis is that maybe this type of acting could give both pilots and co-pilots the power to act upon their true feelings.
It definitely is much easier to put yourself out there when you have the option of a cover and to back down at any point, to say, oh, I was just acting in that situation. Like, that's not how I actually feel. Or you have something easy you can play off if you go to make a move and it doesn't work out. So I can definitely see how that would be helpful. And then we get this wonderful flashback to Meredith and Jeff, who are back. But they are trying the pack method. So we see them in our fake airplane again, in the cockpit. We have Meredith and Jeff surrounded by people.
It's a small cockpit.
It's a tight space. And every time they say something again, you're getting this echo and this group of the pack replying and mimicking their actions. I do think that if the plan, not to make someone more comfortable, that I don't think would be the outcome. But if you wanted Jeff to really think about what he said and hear someone else saying it, I thought that this might be a good method for highlighting perhaps what might be really inappropriate and maybe watching it through someone else's perspective of, oh, that's what that sounds like out loud coming from someone else. Maybe that wasn't so great.
Yeah, maybe honestly for Jeff, the best thing might have been to have someone come and study Jeff and Jeff be the primary, and then Jeff watch the reenactment of the conversation with Mara D. It might have been more successful. It'd be interesting to see if, like, in not saying necessarily Jeff, but, you know, likely Jeff, made an inappropriate comment, would anyone in the pack, like, push back and be like, I don't want to say that?
You might just hear a mumble.
Yeah, they just don't put their whole ass into the statement.
Yeah, I think unless he was really saying a word that you shouldn't, they are trained professional actors. They are the pack. They are there to say what you said, but slightly after you. They have one job.
After seeing the pack copying our two pals here, Mara D and Jeff, we see a couple more clips of them copying Colin eating Panda Express, as we discussed. And this is kind of where we get into the acting assignment that Nathan has set out for Colin and Emma. And he assigns Colin the role of Captain Powers, and he has a power that when he asks people to kiss them, then he follows through with it. And Emma is going to be playing a character called Jennifer Kissme.
Yeah, so Emma, who is sweet as can be, pumps Colin up before they go into the acting scene. She gives him lots of tips. They're already bantering a little bit, and she lets him know that it's really helpful to make up someone's backstory, learn where they're coming from so that you're not just showing up in a scene. You understand what they are walking in from, and that helps you play that character.
Yeah, she gives him some really good advice, and I feel like it is really sweet because she clearly is like trying to make sure that he's not too nervous. She's saying like, "Oh, it's just acting, don't worry." But yeah, she just seems like a very supportive person.
She is so sweet and lovely, and they have a wonderful conversation. Although, when Nathan assigned them these roles, like if you were assigned the acting role of Captain Powers, who can kiss whoever he wants, I think I'd walk into the room a little prouder, a little more like I'm gonna grab my woman and kiss her right now. But they chit chat about what's on his wall. They chat about the fish. They talk about the wine. Again, we're seeing someone just play themselves.
Yeah, I think it's again just like Colin's not an actor. He's a pilot. I think he's just not used to this. And the other thing, like I think we talked about at the beginning, he's I believe his description of his job is that he's an airline cargo pilot. So he's not even, as far as I'm aware, and again, like I'm not exactly a pilot expert, but I believe he's transporting like stuff like FedEx and stuff like that. So he's not even really interacting with, you know, the passengers on the plane. So I feel like maybe that's part of it too, is that he's just like his job doesn't necessarily have him interacting with as many people. He's obviously not an actor. He's never been on a set like this, let alone a set that is an exact replica of his actual apartment. So I understand that he's probably just like very nervous. We also don't know when, in terms of like the timeline of when all this was filmed, this part happened. Like it could have been just like the second day of him being on the show. So it's hard to say how comfortable he was.
Yeah. Do you think it would make you more comfortable being in an exact replica of your room? Or is it better to get into character to be somewhere completely different?
I would definitely rather be somewhere completely different because I feel like then you can like really put yourself into the character.
Yeah, like what would Captain Powers' room look like? Would it be the
Yeah.
same as Colin's?
No, it'd be like Jeff's room.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so we see that, you know, Captain Powers, he asks Jennifer if he can kiss her. She says yeah. And then the kiss is on the cheek.
Which is very sweet, but Emma kind of leans forward again afterwards as if to be like, okay, and now?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, as far as a first kiss goes, I would absolutely not want my first kiss with someone who I actually like to be while Nathan Fielder is watching in a replica of my room. I would want it to be private, so I totally get that.
Yeah, for sure.
But not very Captain Powers, Jennifer Kissme of them.
No, I agree. But I do think, like, we see them kind of walking out after, and, like, Colin does seem like he is maybe, I don't know if it's just, like, he's riding the high of his first little acting role, but he seems like he is more excited. Like, he seems like he's in a really good mood. So it does seem like this at least gave him some confidence.
Yeah, it was really sweet that they had even more to talk about. They were clearly joking around. Again, we don't know where in the timeline this was, but it seems as if they are getting to know each other quite a bit more. And right before the scene, we got a close in, which I thought was a little bit weird, but we got a close up of one of the fake Collins undoing one of the fake Emma's bras.
Yeah.
And then it zooms out again. And I was like, whoa, 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 what are we doing here?
Yeah, I feel like it was just for like the shock of the actors doing this. But again, like why it's not that shocking that two people could potentially, be undressing each other. I think it's shocking to think that Colin and Emma would be doing it, but in general, like, people be fucking.
No, Albert Einstein be fucking.
Yeah, especially Albert.
Yeah.
Can we call him Albie?
LBE?
Or is it Bert? Do we think he likes to go by Bert?
Oh gosh. I bet he goes by a lot of fake aliases and names depending on which of his many mistresses he is writing scandalous letters to. He's like, no, babe, I'm only your LB.
Yeah. Oh my God. He's like switching hands so that the penmanship looks different.
That wasn't me. That was my twin brother.
We've really like turned back around on Albert Einstein. Now we're like, he's a scumbag.
We were lusting after him yesterday and he's in the trash today. He's not a respectable man anymore.
But, great things for science, et cetera, et cetera. We respect his advancements in the field of physics.
Not enough. Not enough.
So we kind of end the episode. We see our pal John Goglia. He has come back with a vengeance. Nathan tells us all about how HBO is paying for everything, and as long as he doesn't go over budget, he's basically allowed to do whatever he wants. And Nathan walks him through the airport, kind of explains that he's been working on all of these different things, and shows him a couple of videos of pilots. And then he walks us through a replica of the U.S. House of Representatives. And he explains to John that, he's noticed the lack of communication and how the pilots need to establish a better relationship. And, he is ready to take on the House of Representatives to talk about aviation safety so that he can really make a difference.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see where this goes. If any actual bills get passed because of the rehearsal, which would be crazy. But again, as you were saying, John seems ready for action. He's there to make a difference. They're there to make change. Let's get at it.
Yeah, like as we discussed, John is a serious guy. Like he is working on this, full time. This is what he does, is this aviation safety stuff. So he's definitely here to work. But yeah, I'm interested to see where we go with the fake US House of Representatives. I also, and like if anyone's really sensitive to any spoilers, skip ahead a couple seconds, but a while ago there was also an article that I keep forgetting about, that Nathan was talking to Elizabeth Holmes while she was in prison, and I keep wondering if that's going to come up this season or if that's for a different project.
I think it's for a different project, which would be incredible.
Yeah.
Rehearsal season 3?
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth Holmes, has a lot of ideas. I know she has said in interviews that she is interested in pursuing more entrepreneurship. So if anyone somehow doesn't know who Elizabeth Holmes is, she was the biotechnology entrepreneur who founded the company Theranos that essentially was meant to do all of these things with blood testing, but the entire thing was a fraud, and she is currently in prison.
Yeah, I don't know how she's going to get backing again. But people keep buying meme coins, and I don't know why. So crazier things have happened. Trump is out there selling meme coins. You know, Hawk Tua Girl is out there selling meme coins, and people keep getting shocked when they don't make money. So hell, give Elizabeth Holmes some fucking funding.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, like I let's see where she's going. Let her cook, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so I think we're pretty much wrapped on this episode, but I do think we should chat about something that I've been calling our required reading, which is there was an article that came out in Variety earlier this week. The title of the article is Nathan Fielder created a fake singing competition for the rehearsal. One contestant lost $10,000 and feels betrayed. I signed up to be a singer, not a lab rat. And it's by Ethan Schanfeld. So shout out to Ethan for getting this scoop, because this is pretty wild.
Yeah, Lana Love does not care about NDAs. She's saying, come get me if you want to, but you wronged me and I'm going to talk about it. So she claims that she had spent $10,000 to pursue the singing competition. As we mentioned earlier, she is the singer standing in the middle of the punk group. And she says that between the flights that she needed to take to all of the auditions, in addition to all the singing vocal lessons that she had to cancel, she lost a total of $10,000 pursuing the singing competition.
She says like a lot of stuff in this article that, you know, is pretty par for the course in terms of like Nathan Fielder controversy stuff. She's saying that it was kind of like mean-spirited to do this competition and promise people this big chance at being on the HBO show and having a lot of exposure. And I think that is seemingly the biggest thing that she's upset about, is that she was expecting to, you know, have exposure on the show. She also, of note, is that, as we discussed in the previous episode where we went a lot more into the Wings of Voice show, she was a previous contestant on The Voice.
Yeah. So, of course, being lied to and thinking that you're actually pursuing your singing dream, you know, that's not great. You know, there's a lot of people who are spending a lot of money. But you did get some exposure on the rehearsal. You know, you were featured singing on a very large and well-known television show. So there's a lot to consider. People do pursue auditions and have to spend money on it. We don't know where the singing competition is going to go. Maybe we are going to crown an eventual winner who does get the prize. I think that through gaming laws, if you advertise a prize, you do have to give it. So hopefully we can see that pan out and actually see someone win the singing competition. It will be interesting to follow along and see if HBO does anything about this. We've also seen people chatting online saying, you know, is this Nathan Fielder? All the layers. Is he okay with this? Is he the one telling her to do this? Only time will tell. I've also seen other people taking screenshots of other NDAs that Nathan has had various characters and business owners throughout the years sign. We know that for the movement, we had, you know, the main character signing away his DNA. So Nathan is certainly one to put in crazy details into his agreements. So it'll be interesting to see what Lana actually signed, if it means anything, if Nathan's going to change anything because of this. We know that this season we haven't seen any child actors being used like last season, after I believe it was Remy got a little bit confused thinking that Nathan might have been his new actual father, which was actually quite sad. So maybe we'll see in the future he might change his approach to reality shows and competitions. Or maybe he doesn't care at all and HBO kind of takes care of it. And they say, you know what, you had a choice to participate in this or not. They did use unlicensed songs. So it was a little off brand to start with.
A lot of these conversations with anything that Nathan is doing, it always kind of comes down to the fact that it doesn't feel good to feel like you were made fun of, which I think in this case, nobody on the singing competition part of the show came off looking bad. Like all of the singers I think were very talented, and I think they were shown in a really positive light. I don't think anyone was really like making fun of them. Which we have definitely seen Nathan like seemingly take advantage and make fun of people. It does seem like the flying out for all of the different auditions and things like that. Obviously that sucks that she spent all this money to do it, but at the same time, like, she did choose to cancel those lessons for, the chance to do well on the show. But then when you actually look at it, it kind of sucks because it's like she thought she had a chance to win this show, and then it turns out that the prize is not really exactly what kind of exposure she had anticipated. Like, obviously, winning American Idol gives you a different exposure than winning the fake show Wings of Voice, where you might get to perform on a fake stage that looks like the Houston airport.
Now, we do see Nathan explaining the prize at the very beginning to two girls. So it is possible that everyone knew exactly what the prize would be. They understood the stakes. But I think it's a really excellent point that I think a lot of these performers were put in a really great light. It's probably not the amount of screen time they were hoping for. They thought that the full focus of the show would be on them. They would get a lot more airtime than probably anticipated. But in the brief clip at the beginning of this episode, we're seeing everyone dressed really nice, singing in their groups. They have great choreography. Again, it's all really talented singers. And we actually saw on Reddit someone else who had competed saying that the caliber of the singers there was a top-notch group, that she got to pursue her dream, and she had a really positive experience. So it really depends who you are. But I think Lana's point of it can be really expensive to pursue your dreams, and you want 100% transparency going in what exactly it is you're signing up for is very valid. We had one of the actresses, Eyes Lips Eyes, knew she was signing up for the rehearsal. And so I believe what they were told that it was a singing competition within another show. So they got some information. Again, we'll see where it goes. If there is a winner crowned, I don't know how much you can complain about it. You also could have been cut very early. With reality shows, you are really putting it in the hands of someone else to edit you well. You think of every other reality show, how many people come across looking horrific. I mean, Jeff is on this season, and I think we could argue he did it to himself. But there's also a lot of, Nathan chose to show it, but you also chose to be on this show, and no one made you.
Yeah, I feel like you're taking a risk anytime you go on any of these reality shows. Like, they can edit you in any which way that they want to. So I think that, again, this is like one of those things that comes up a lot in all reality shows. Like, I know Megan and I talk a lot about Survivor, and there's certain contestants who we were big fans of who came back for maybe a second season and then were edited in a way where they were just so deeply unlikable. And that's just what can happen when you go on reality TV. Like, you might, come out not looking great. Which, again, I don't think that she looked bad in this show. I think that maybe she just feels that she wasn't given the screen time that she wanted. And maybe, in this article, she talks about how she wrote a letter basically saying that we don't want to be the punchline of the joke and gave it to the producers and all of this stuff. I think maybe she was like worried that it was going to make her look bad. And then now I wonder if she feels a bit differently having watched the actual episode come out.
She had also submitted an addendum to the contract that she had signed, where the first version had claimed that anything you perform, the show would not get the rights to. The second version of the contract she signed said otherwise. So she actually did ask for that to get altered, not just for herself, but for the other contestants, where if anyone was auditioning or singing an original song, they would retain the rights to that song, which was great of her to pursue and be diligent in. Of course, if HBO has the budget, it's this massive company, we don't need to put these people out. It's unnecessary. So if anybody's traveling in from far away and you know that this isn't a real singing competition, I mean, can you label it as real if it's an actual competition where there's a prize?
I think that's the problem. Like, it's all so vague because who is doing this? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, as far as we're aware, there does seem to be a prize. So
it is kind of a real competition.
On Reddit, someone is claiming that they won the show and that they can't say anything else. So
Drop the
I
Reddit
feel
name.
like I feel like there is something else coming and someone's going to get something from this whole competition show.
Because if there's a winner, then and they got the prize that was advertised, what more can we say? I don't
Yeah.
know if the other singing competitions are putting people up in hotels, are paying for their travel, maybe in the final grouping.
Yeah.
So I think it's great what she's done, having the licensing to their personal original songs be removed. But other than that, I think it's probably just a little bit more of a publicity stunt. She seems really talented. She seems like she has a good following. Why not make it work? I think I would personally be too afraid to get sued by HBO, but we'll see where it goes. She also put out a song called Nathan Fielder.
Yeah. I feel like the song called Nathan Fielder really, to me, makes it seem more like a publicity stunt than anything. And I'm not saying that I think that she's in cahoots with Nathan or anything like that, but I do think that she came to Variety knowing that most people probably would not want to break their NDA and kind of being like, I'm going to capitalize on the fact that, I can tell my story first, because now she is clearly like the most talked about of the singers.
Yeah, 100%. I know that if we hadn't seen her, followed her online, read the Variety article, when we had talked about the different groups, I wouldn't have noticed her, uh, other than she's a member of this group, but I couldn't tell you any other person from any other group. So she's definitely getting her name out there. Her followers have been increasing since the episode started. She is getting publicity. And so that is kind of a win if you're a singer trying to pursue something after this show. You're getting attention, you're getting your voice out there. So only time will tell.
Yeah. And I want to say, like, if anyone feels some type of way and they've been on the rehearsal, they've been on one of these shows and they feel some type of way about, the fact that they feel they are made a joke of or anything like that, like, that's totally valid. You don't have to agree with everything that's going on. And if that's someone's experience, like, that's totally fair too, because, you you don't know how you're going to feel until something like that happens to you. And I feel like if I found myself on a Nathan Fielder show, like, I don't think I would be stoked about it either. So totally understand where this is coming from, even though at the end of the day we are still here to talk about this show and discuss it and talk about why we think it's fun. I can be a hypocrite is what I'm saying. But yeah, check out that article. Definitely check us out on Instagram. And on Instagram, we are at Nathan For Us Pod. Check us out on TikTok at Nathan For Us Podcast. If you want to send us an email, we're nathanforuspodcast@gmail.com. We've been having a lot of fun posting all over, mainly just like silly little memes and stuff. And yeah, it's only 2 more episodes of this show left. And I don't know if we've heard anything about a season 3. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and our next episode will be an interview with Colin the pilot. He made us a little video, so we will be posting it on our TikTok channel, on our Instagram channel. We'll post a little video where you can find our podcast. So if you have any questions for Colin, please, please, please submit them. He seems like the sweetest, kindest, most lovely human being, and we are so excited to chat with him. And we hope that some of your questions get in too, and you get to know him a little bit more.
Yes. We're going to be careful because we don't want him to get in trouble. So we won't be able to ask everything, but we're going to try and at least pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah. This has been Kelly and Megan on your side.